Welcome back to Cities on Console. Welcome if you are new. In today's video, we're going to dive into the new Cities Skylines 2 feature highlights. This week we got some new details about zones and signature buildings. Before diving in though, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing if you haven't already, and to hit that like button if you end up enjoying today's video or finding it informative. Or hit the dislike button if not. Any engagement is welcome and helps me learn how to make videos you find helpful and worth your while. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want. All that said, without further ado, let's get into the video.
Every decision you make weaves a thread into the fabric of your city. But don't for a second imagine a smooth, seamless surface. Cities don't work like that. Instead, it's an urban patchwork marked by the realities of life and living. You'll create and stitch it together with zoning.
So already, it really amazes me how much of a visual improvement Cities 2 is just on the surface. I love the move they're making toward realism with Cities 2. The water, trees, landscape, all of that looks so realistic in comparison to Cities 1 and the buildings themselves. When you compare that to that cartoony art style used in Cities 1, and I mean specifically as a console player without the ability to use mods to improve visuals, this is so great to me. So great.
Zoning lets you decide where people live and work. You create these residential, commercial, and industrial zones with zoning tools. They work in a couple of different ways. Click and drag over cells on the map to zone large rectangular areas. Zone all adjacent cells with one click. Or get granular, zoning a neighborhood cell by cell.
Okay, here we have our first look at the main menu for Cities 2. What sticks out to me here is paradox mods. Does this mean mods will be more accessible on the base game and not just, available for like Steam players? It could just be that this is where you control unlimited money, unlimited soil, that type of thing before you start a new game, like you could do in Cities 1. But it's also known that a couple of the big modders from the Cities 1 community are now working on Cities Skylines. And the Cities Skylines team a number of times has talked about their emphasis on making the game more console inclusive this time, and they're always talking about their massive respect and appreciation for the modding community. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of, bringing those two things together there. Maybe there's some kind of cool mods for the base game that you can link through the PlayStation or Xbox stores to download. I mean, all of that is just speculation and a bit of just being hopeful for now. But I can't wait to find out if that's the case. I think that'd be super cool. And if not, it honestly feels like a missed opportunity.
When you establish a city...
And here's our first look at the maps in the base game. So I have mixed feelings about this. I'm surprised there are only 12 maps in the base game. I guess 13 if you count. There's one that comes as a pre-order bonus. So if you count that, 13, whatever. But anyway, base game alone, it's 12. This is the same as Cities Skylines 1. I thought there would be more. I don't know why. I guess it's just kind of hopeful. Maybe there'd be like a 24 or something instead of 12. But especially as a console player without access to custom maps that the community puts together, it's just a bit limited, only having 12 maps that you can build from. That said, the maps are way larger and will supposedly have access to practically the whole map in Cities 2. So they should be much more playable than they ever were in Cities 1. So really, even though it is the same amount, it might feel like a massive improvement anyway, just based on those things. But still, hopefully we get a lot of cool new maps with DLCs and content creator packs over time anyway. But yeah, I just thought that was, I don't know, kind of mixed feelings about that one. But we'll see how it goes.
You choose a map. The map's theme dictates if your city's buildings will have a North American or European architectural style. You can now use zoning tools to mix it up. Go on, sprinkle a little North American flair into your European city.
So I think this is really cool as well. So talking before about how maps in Cities 1 were often just completely unplayable, really. This was another big factor in that. There was nothing worse than getting a cool new map and then realizing it was locked to the European theme. And As a console player, there was no way to change that. Being stuck with the ugly little European themed buildings, you know, it was terrible. It just made maps unplayable, like I said. It looks like now we're going to be able to control that, whether we use a North American or European theme right from the beginning. And we can also mix it up in here, as this clip is showing. And honestly, those European buildings there aren't ugly and hard to look at like they were in Cities 1. I could see actually building European cities intentionally and enjoying it in Cities 2, where I just could not bring myself to do that and actually enjoy it in Cities 1.
Or vice versa. Okay, you know how zoning tools work, but what can you zone? Well, let's start with residential zones. The places and spaces where citizens relax with friends, raise families, and rest their heads night after night. There are now 6 residential zone types. 2 will be familiar: low-density housing, detached houses for single families, and high-density housing, tall towers packed with residents. New zoning types include medium-density row housing and medium-density apartment buildings. There's low-rent housing now too. Huge apartment buildings with tiny apartments. Finally, there's mixed housing. Here, residents live in apartments above ground floor shops. Mixed housing adds next-level realism because homes and shops rub elbows like most real-world city centers.
So this is super cool too to me. 6 different types of residential zoning, including mixed zoning and actual medium density. So having actual medium density to me is a game changer. It was truly an extreme sport trying to transition from low to high density in Cities 1. Just such a difficult thing to do. But in Cities 2, that's going to be so much easier with actual medium density buildings and, you know, all the mixed use and whatnot as well. It's just, they've expanded on the residential options massively, and that is just so cool. So cool to me.
Ready to talk business? You'll create dedicated commercial zones where companies sell the locally produced and imported goods people need and want. Your commercial zones are also where citizens and tourists eat out, catch the latest blockbuster, and dance until dawn. You'll establish industrial zones with factories, workshops, and warehouses where businesses can store goods ready for distribution or export.
Okay, and again, just loving how realistic everything looks. The houses are beautiful, the offices, of course. But what's worth noting is even the industry buildings look amazing. And generic industry in Cities Skylines was often just atrocious. It was so hard to look at. There was massive improvement with the actual DLC industry. So that's usually what I would use in all my cities. I would like barely even have any generic industry, just enough to keep the city functioning. But there's a lot to want with generic industry. I think it's really cool that that's actually going to be pleasant to look at.
You'll also develop office zones. Here you'll find small, low-density buildings with only a few businesses in operation. You'll also get the glittering, high-density towers that define your city's silhouette in the sky. Growing your city and zoning go hand in hand. Here's an example. You zone residential areas that boost the population, and with it, the demand for jobs. You respond by...
So this right here, I found really interesting as well. So it looks like you're going to be able to actually create custom shapes and sizes with farm fields. That is an absolute game changer, because if there's anything I love in Cities Skylines, it is building a farm, which might sound ridiculous because it's a city building game and it's a little bit more on the side of rural area building, I guess. But there's just something I love about farms in Cities Skylines, and I have felt a little limited in my ability to design them by having those, you know, specific predetermined size plots that you could lay down. But looking at this, it just, wow, just having the ability to customize the shapes and sizes and actually fill the area in a way that's more organic looks awesome. Looks incredible.
Creating an industrial zone with factories where people get to work.
Like, look how beautiful that is. That is just awesome. And another tiny little note here. Look at that smoke. Even that looks awesome. Just the improvement in the details from Cities 1 to Cities 2. They really have leveled up the game. I cannot wait to get my hands on it.
Now, these factories produce goods, but they won't stay in business long without somewhere to sell them. You solve that problem by expanding commercial zones. You see? Each zone helps create the momentum you need to realize the city of your dreams. And it wouldn't be the city of your dreams without signature buildings. These are unique residential, commercial, industrial, and office buildings that you unlock as your city expands.
So it sounds like signature buildings, I don't know if they're completely replacing unique buildings. I guess they would be, because I don't know why you would need both. But it sounds like they essentially function as unique buildings, but as she's about to explain, there are some kind of added boosts that they can bring to the communities that they are built in.
They're free to build, and you can plop them anywhere. Plop. It's Cities Skylines lingo. Go on, say it. Plop. What's so special about signature buildings? Well, they function like any zoned building. A home for people, a warehouse for industry, an office for workers. But they can elevate the neighborhood in unique ways. Signature buildings can also bring citywide benefits. Zone and place your signature buildings carefully so each city district flourishes and plays its part in the success of the whole city.
Yeah, so it sounds like, you know, the unique buildings in Cities 1 basically just were like tourism attractions, right? They would increase land value and cause noise pollution and draw tourists. That's basically what they did. But it sounds like all of the different signature buildings might have like different types of boosts that they bring to an area. Especially how she mentioned, you know, there's going to be warehouses for industry areas. There's going to be signature residential buildings, even commercial buildings, shops and entertainment, that kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. Very interesting stuff.
Life's rich tapestry has never been richer than in Cities Skylines 2.
And again, just how beautiful is that? Looking at the cityscape at night and the sky, the water, the reflections, that looks amazing. I can already imagine how many hours of my life are going to go straight into just turning on the cinematic camera and watching the city at work. And how much I am going to not get accomplished by just watching people walk and drive and whatever around the city. And, well, guys, that's it for the video. There's obviously some really exciting stuff in there, and a lot is left up to speculation. But let me know what you think of the new info we received about zones and signature buildings in Cities Skylines 2. What kind of questions or comments do you guys have? Let me know in the comments below. Really interested in what everyone else is looking forward to, if there's anything you caught in the video that I missed, all that stuff. But anyway, as for now, thanks for watching and have a great day.